Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I want to talk about when an avoidant notices you no longer adjust to their distance. So, what does this even mean? It means that you're not overextending or trying to make their life so smooth that you're sacrificing your own life. You're still flexible, but you're putting yourself first. So, why is this really important in relationships with avoidance? It's usually because there's a shift and they start realizing that they no longer can benefit off of it's not that they did on purpose. I'm trying to word it properly and I have to go soon, so I want to make sure I make this clear. Um Often what I see, I'll start like this, is when you're with an avoidant, you don't always realize they're avoidant typically. And you give your all. And they give their all, but it's just a very small their all is smaller than your full capacity, okay? At the beginning of the relationship or after the initial connection, right? When you start getting deeper feelings, you're still moving forward and they're emotionally moving backwards, it almost seems. But it's only because they're giving their true version to you, okay? And so when you see that difference, often what people do, even secure people sometimes, they overextend. And that's what I'm calling like adjusting to their distance. You're making things easier for their behavior. But as time goes on, what I notice is you start realizing it doesn't really do anything. If anything, it makes it worse. So you try another strategy, which is good. I recommend this if it's tactful, if it's coming from a good place and you're not trying to manipulate and you feel burned out. This is where I feel this can work. If you feel like you're making progress with the way you are acting and behaving, completely fine. This is only for those that feel like there's something that needs to be changed soon and you feel like there's no other option. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. And so you realize now you need to stop adjusting to their distance because it's not making things better, because they're getting too comfortable. And this is true. Any relationship needs to do this at some point. Just with an avoidant, it might look a little bit more strict because you were giving so much, especially if a lot of you are empaths. You might be very caring and you really want to make them happy and you feel bad. Oftentimes you'll run into something like this. And I have calls with you guys. I know a lot of you guys know how caring you are. And a lot of you guys will say, I really feel bad. I don't want to hurt them. I love that for you. But we also need to start thinking about yourself, right? And so that's what today is, okay? And so what happens? What does that look like? It's not extreme, right? You may stop over explaining yourself. Doesn't mean you're not explaining yourself. You might just say it once. And that's a huge difference compared to how much times you said it before. The next one is you might do things on your own as well as with them. You're not just doing things on your own. It's a balance, okay? And so this is interesting because especially if you are a person that often wanted to do things with them, which is good, but maybe you gave up on that a little bit because they were not budging, and that's very frustrating. So maybe you really wanted to go to this party with them or a gathering with them, and they said no. So you said, all right, fine. If you don't want to go, I will go by myself. I hope that you can adjust later. I'm disappointed, but I'm going to go anyways because I want to. You did that. Maybe that's something you didn't do before. This will impact them a lot. The next one is that you actually communicate directly with what you want without giving an ultimatum. See, you're not doing it because you're expecting something out of them. You're doing it simply because you respect yourself. You expect, just like you were just saying, I hope that you can change your mind later, or I hope that next year you can join me. Whatever it is, you're communicating directly. That's what I want to see. And it's not an ultimatum. You didn't say, because then I'm going to break up with you, then I'm going to leave you, then this relationship isn't enough. That's not what you said. You said, I'm going to go to this gathering. I'm disappointed. And next time this comes around, I'd like you to join me. That's it. The next one is you express what bothers you without placing blame. I'm disappointed. That really hurt my feelings. I expected that you would be there. What would have made me happy is if you had showed up, even if it was only for a little bit. I would not mind if you had left early or the time was shortened, but I would have wanted you to show up. Anything like that. You express what's bothering you, but you're not placing blame on them because you're really done with feeling that negative emotion all the time. It's for you. It's not for them. The next one is you start to tell them how do I even put this? You tell them you want to start respecting their need for independence, and you start to tell them this. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Sorry, I have to leave soon. But you tell them, I understand you're independent. I understand this is how you feel. I understand this is the way you are, and I respect that. And why is this very important? Because it shows them that you're emotionally regulated. You also are not fighting to change them right now. Hopefully they will change. But it allows them to feel like, okay, wow, you're really pulling your weight. I'm a lot of times avoidance. It takes a while. Sometimes it might even take it could be short too. It might take like a month. It might take longer. It depends. They will start thinking, wow, this person's really pulling their weight. What am I doing? And if they can reach that point where they can resolve that feeling, what they usually result into is them wanting to lean in better as well, okay? And so how do they behave? How does this even look like, okay? So at first they don't notice it, but it's it starts bothering them a little bit, and then it becomes more obvious. Then the next step is they start making subtle comments like, you seem productive. That's good. It's good that you're hanging out with your friends. So they're noticing it, but it's not bothering them, or at least it's not showing up as bother at this point, because obviously they're not going to really be comfortable expressing that feeling anyways, that it's bothering them. But more often than not, they're not aware that it's bothering them yet. And so if you're at this stage, which a lot of you guys that I've had calls with, you're at this stage where they're making comments. And I tell you guys, okay, good. Keep going. This is a good sign. And you will tell me, just an example, but it does happen, where you'll tell me this means that they don't care. No, this does not mean they don't care. This is where you want to be, because the next step, they're going to start getting more real. They're going to start adjusting their behavior because they will feel uncomfortable. If you're at this stage, at this point where they're saying, that's good, you seem productive, it's good that you're hanging out with your friends, keep going. It is a good sign. We're not manipulating them. This is not manipulation, right? I used to be avoidant. Why would I tell you to manipulate an avoidant? I'm telling you how to speak their language so that you can get what you want and they can also heal. Because when I was an avoidant, I didn't really realize how good life would be when I healed. Now that I'm healed, life is better. It was very hard to heal. And I don't know if I've told you all the details of it. I don't think I did, because it was very hard for me. It was actually one of the worst times in my life. There were so many things that went on that made me have to change. It was hard. It was very hard, very hard. But it's one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life, which is probably why I make so many of these videos, because I really believe that if you are an avoidant, or you can help somebody who's avoidant, you will really help their life, because I'm so free now. And so that is where a lot of my aim is coming from. And so if they're saying this, and I know I've been there as an avoidant, it's a sign that eventually, right now it feels good, but eventually they're going to start feeling that you're no longer adjusting to their distance, which will make them feel more comfortable stepping up, okay? The next step is different depending on the gender of your partner, okay? Typically, a male avoidant will call you out. They might say, don't you feel like you're going overboard? Or if they're very reactive, they might say, are you acting this way to punish me? Okay. So female avoidants and some male avoidants are more subtle. They might reach out more frequently. They might ask you what you're doing more often. More female FAs do this one. They might say, are you mad at me? Some males do this as well. This is the sign where, okay, now you realize it's bothering them. And you want to respond directly, okay? Because this is the time, this is where it really lands, okay? You'll say, once they do this, okay, I feel like every time I bring up how I feel, I get brushed off. And so I tried to put my attention elsewhere. I would like next time that if I have the courage to tell you how I feel, that you hear me without being defensive. It would mean a lot. Whatever your version is. I just gave an example that's pretty common, at least with my current calls, about this particular issue. So you guys might relate to that, because some of you guys are the people that I've had, calls with. Not sharing anyone in particular, but if that's something, and whatever is bothering you, whatever made you feel bad, when they start bringing this up, that's when you do it. And the reason why you bring it up, and you bring it up very clearly, very directly, not very emotional, but the reason you bring it up now is because this is where they feel the most inclined to do something about it, because it's bothering them. That's why you land it right here, okay? And so I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.